everyone, I'm Sarah from cats.com, where we're all about cats, and in today's video I'm going to take you on the journey with me to try to find the best brand of probiotics for cats. Let's get into it. During my search, I purchased 7 different types of cat probiotics, and I wanted to try a variety of not only form factors, but I also wanted to try some with different types of probiotic strains. So from my research into cat probiotics, I found that there's not necessarily one specific strain that is always best in all circumstances. I found that some seem to be better for just all-around digestive health, and some are best suited for helping your cat recover with a specific type of illness. So of course, talk to your vet, but I will try to call out some of the specifics and some of the learnings that I found about all of these when I talk about each of the probiotics. That being said, there were 2 strains that I found cited pretty frequently and were in a lot of the different probiotics, so I definitely wanted to try that. And those 2 were Bifidobacterium and Enterococcus faecium. I did try to find a few different brands, at least with those 2, which tend to be cited for overall digestive health. So let's get into that. Let's talk about the first probiotic that we tried, and this is the FullBucket Feline Daily Cat. This one is a powder formula, and right off the bat, I noticed that the formula is a little bit more of a more coarsely ground consistency. But the probiotic that's in here is actually the same ingredient that is baker's yeast or brewer's yeast, and that may sound kind of weird to have as a cat probiotic, but I found a few studies that shows this can help with cat digestion and fecal formation, so definitely could be a beneficial ingredient for your cat. And in terms of the cost, this jar is about $30, and that makes it about $1 per serving, with a serving being 1 to 2 scoops per day for adult cats. They don't necessarily specify like why you would want to feed your cat 1 versus 2, but it probably just depends on, the needs of your cat and if there are any more extreme digestive issues that you're dealing with. The pros are it's very lightweight. I like this jar container. It's also easy to measure because you're just measuring out single scoops, and the scoop is already included in here. That being said, what I didn't like about this is it was, I would say, kind of messy. I did find myself having to kind of clean up after I used this. Also a con may be that the fact that this only does have that one probiotic, you're not getting some of those more popular probiotics that I cited at the beginning. So something to keep in mind. In terms of how Gordon reacted to this one and my experience feeding it to him, I put 1 scoop with his wet food, which I feed him for dinner, and I didn't really love this one in terms of how it dissolved into the food. I found that I had to really kind of mix it up in order to get it integrated. It didn't just quickly dissolve. That being said, Gordon gobbled it right up like normal. He seems to not have any problem with it, so far so good on that front. The next probiotic we tried was the FERA probiotic, and this one may just be my favorite for a few reasons. So this one is also another powder formula. However, compared to the first one that we tried, it's a much more fine ground powder. So I liked that because I found it dissolved a lot easier into Gordon's wet food. But a few other stats on this one is there's an impressive 12 different strains of probiotics. So you are kind of covering your bases with a few different strains versus just one. Also, the cost on this one is less expensive, so it is about $25 for this jar. So it's about the same price for the jar. However, you'll notice that the actual scoop size is much smaller, and the serving size for cats 5 to 15 pounds, which should be good for most cats, is only half a scoop per day. So ultimately what that means is that this jar can last you for about 120 days versus only about 30 days if you are feeding your cat just 1 scoop from the first kind and a half a scoop from this second brand. So that does make it a lot more cost effective at only about 21 cents per serving. So I did like that. The only thing that I didn't like about this one is because the serving sizes for most cats is only half a scoop, I did find that a little bit harder to measure because you're kind of eyeballing just half a scoop, which can be a little bit tricky, but overall I liked it and it did dissolve really easily into the food, and Gordon gobbled it up just like before, so all of that was great. Next on the list, we tried the Purina Pro Plan FortiFlora, and this one has one of those 2 probiotics that I mentioned at the beginning. This one has Enterococcus faecium, which is often cited as just a general all-purpose good probiotic for cats, but there is some studies that have been shown that it's also beneficial for helping cats deal with specific digestive problems. And also cats with a feline herpes virus. This has also been shown to be beneficial for that as well. Interestingly, a few years ago when Gordon was dealing with some digestive problems related to Giardia, this is specifically what our vet recommended, and we did have a great experience at that time as well. So I expected that we would have a good experience this time around as well. This one is packaged in these individual packets, so that can be great if you're traveling or if you're just nervous about getting the exact right amount and you want to make sure it's pre-portioned for you. Some other things to note is this one is also about $1 per serving. So similar to the first one that we tried, it's about $30 for this pack of these 30 sachets. But in terms of our reaction, this time I just sprinkled it on Gordon's wet food like the other 2, and he ate it right up. Next on the list, we tried this Bark and Whiskers probiotic. This one is also good to cover your bases in the sense of this one has 14 different probiotic strains, so you will get a variety in there, which could be beneficial for your pets. Also, in terms of the price of this one, it's pretty similar to those first 2 jars we tried. This one is about $28 for the jar. However, this one, you definitely want to pay attention to the serving size because this one, it has 45 scoops per container, and the serving size for a cat is only half a scoop, or they say you can feed a full scoop for extra support. So if you're only feeding your cat half a scoop per day, this one will last you 90 days and it could only end up being about 31 cents or so per serving, which is on the lower end of the ranges that we tried. This one is also a powder. Now, what I liked about this one in terms of the packaging is I like that it's in this nice glass jar. There were some things I didn't really like about this one. I didn't like that, again, for cats, you're measuring out half a scoop, which I find can be a little bit imprecise. So I didn't love that kind of measuring format. Also, I found that this one didn't really dissolve that well in Gordon's wet food. And so I really had to kind of get in there and mix it up, which I didn't really like. I obviously preferred when I just poured it on, it just kind of like dissolved instantly. So I didn't really love that one, but I did like that this one kind of covers all your bases with all those different probiotic strains. And in terms of Gordon's reaction, he ate it up just like the other ones. He didn't seem to have any sort of negative reaction in terms of the taste or anything. So I would say that's definitely a good sign. The next one that we tried is the Pet Natural Daily Probiotic, and this is the first one on the list that is not a powder formula. This one is actually formulated in like treat format, so it comes in a bag, kind of like most cat treats, and I like this because it's easier to dispense to your cat. All of the powder ones I feel like are really best suited to put onto wet food. I think it would be pretty difficult to dissolve all those powders into dry food or just feed it to your cat like straight up powder. I don't know what kind of cat is going to eat that. So this one is really nice because you don't need to be dependent on feeding it to your cat just at mealtime or just with wet food. You can just give this to your cat straight up like a treat. Or of course you could just put it in with wet food if you wanted to, or even mix it in with your cat's dry food or kibble. This would just fit right in there as a little extra, nugget. So I really did like the formula on this one. Also, the price point on this is really on the affordable side, which is another great benefit. So this particular bag was only about $6.38 when I bought it, and that only made it about 21 cents per individual chew. There are 30 chews in this bag, so I think it's a really nice affordable option. In terms of the probiotic that's in here, this one, it doesn't have as much of the variety as you see in some of those other ones with many different strains. This one has Bacillus coagulans in it, and I found that this one often is actually used in animal husbandry type of purposes. Now, I found this one cited to be something that can balance intestinal microbiota and also regulate immune function. So there are some benefits of this specific strain, but again, you're not going to get some of the variety that I mentioned in some of those earlier types. And Gordon's reaction is he gobbled it up right away. No problems there. Next on the list, we tried Proviable-DC capsules. These have 7 different strains of probiotics, so you're really covering more bases with this one. And they also included the 2 strains of probiotics that I mentioned being really most supportive of cat digestive health. So I love to see that. In terms of the price point, these are mid-range, so I got a 30 pack for about $22. So it was about 73 cents per capsule. So what I like about the capsule format is there's a few different options for how to administer this. So you can either give it to your cat as a pill, either straight up or in a pill pocket. Personally, I don't have the best luck with that. So if you're like me and you'd prefer not to give your cat a pill, you can also open up the capsule and there's powder inside. So you can sprinkle the powder on top of your cat's wet food, similar to the other probiotics that we tried. So I really like that flexibility there. Also, even if you're not planning on giving your cat the pill format, I like having this blister pack because it keeps everything perfectly portioned out. It's watertight. It's also lightweight, easy to throw in a bag or a purse or something if you're traveling with your cat. So I really love that. The only thing I didn't love about the blister pack is it's a little bit more tedious to open it up, and you need a little bit of dexterity there to kind of like open it up, and it can be a little bit messy from my experience. So that was the only negative, but otherwise, Gordon tried this one and he loved it. He ate it right up, so no problems there. The final one on the list is actually the only one that's a gel format. This is the Pet Gel Benebac Plus, and this one has 7 different strains of probiotics. It's also formulated for both cats and dogs, as well as some other small animals like rabbits and raccoons and things like that. So could be a good option if you have a different type of pet as well. This one though is pretty expensive per serving. So this container only has 4 serving tubes in it, but this one was $5.71, which made it over $1 per serving, about $1.42 per tube, which is pretty expensive compared to the other ones. This one I think has some unique pros and cons though. So I think the main pro is this one could be a good option if your cat needs to be kind of hand fed or is having trouble eating solid food. So whether your cat is, suffering with an illness or something and they're not able to eat, normal kibble or wet food, or if your cat is just a little kitten and you need to be able to administer this more manually versus relying on your cat to eat food to digest this, this could be a really good option for that. Also, some cats, may not take to the powder formulations quite as well. So this is a gel format, which does make it, potentially easier to eat for some cats that are a little bit pickier. That being said, personally, I did not have the best experience, and Gordon did not have the best experience with this one. I found it a little bit annoying to have to cut open this individual thing. I found it just kind of added some extra steps. I had to get my scissors out to kind of cut this open. So it added a little bit of time there. Also, unfortunately, Gordon did have kind of a bad reaction to this. So initially when he ate it, he gobbled it right up, just like the other ones, but he did end up vomiting later that night after dinner. And I don't know if it was related to this or, something else unrelated, but nonetheless, I don't think I will personally be ordering this particular brand again to feed to Gordon. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Let me know down in the comments which of these 7 types of probiotics you would be most interested in trying with your cats. And if you have any other questions, let us know down there as well. Of course, I'll try to link everything down in the description box. And that's it. Thanks for watching.